You might be sitting with a cup of cold coffee and suddenly realize that the old version of yourself no longer works. And this is not a breakdown, but the beginning of what can truly bring you back to your footing. Most often, it is at this moment that it becomes frightening, because it seems like along with new desires, you are also losing yourself. But the truth is that finding yourself almost always looks like losing an old identity that you were so used to. You stop wanting what once seemed important. You change your reactions. You notice that old goals no longer resonate. And because of this, a sense of emptiness arises inside. It is very familiar. It seems life goes on, but you no longer seem to align with it. This is where many try to urgently bring themselves back, as if it's possible to become who you were a year or 5 years ago again. But this only intensifies the inner fracture. The real turning point begins when you stop demanding constancy from yourself and start noticing that at different times, different things can be right. Not because you've become weaker, but because you are changing in a living, normal way. In these moments, you will see why losing the familiar image of yourself does not mean failure, but becomes part of growing up, and how from this instability arises a more accurate understanding of what truly suits you. It will become clear why finding yourself almost never looks like a straight path, and why the contrasts of experience do not hinder healing, but, on the contrary, reconstruct you. Today, especially, many people live in a constant noise mode, where every day suggests who you should be and what to count as success, and how quickly to move on. Against this background, it's easy to lose your own voice, because external benchmarks sound louder than the internal sense of truth. This is why the theme of self-discovery is so important now, not as a beautiful conversation about growth, but as a way to stop living on someone else's draft. When a person tries to hold on to the same version of themselves for too long, they gradually begin to confuse stability with stagnation. It seems that if you change anything, you'll inevitably have to destroy something. But in reality, development works differently. You don't find one eternal answer and fix it forever. You gradually learn to hear what suits you now and acknowledge that over time, this can change too. There's no betrayal of self in this. There's honesty. In these minutes, the video will not lead you into abstract reasoning. First, we'll analyze why internal changes provoke so much resistance, and why previous benchmarks stop working just when a person begins to grow. Then you'll see what attempts to gather yourself look like, not through pressure, but through observation, patience, and testing different states in practice. And in the end, it will all boil down to one important conclusion. Inspiration doesn't come for long to those who have found the perfect form once and for all, but to those who have learned to endure the contrast between who they were and who they are becoming. There's one more important point that is often overlooked. We live in an era where fatigue becomes the background, and digital noise replaces inner clarity. Because of this, a person often thinks something is wrong with them, although in reality, they simply haven't heard themselves without constant interference for a long time. That's why this conversation is needed, not only by those who are confused, but also by those who seem to cope externally, yet increasingly feel a quiet loss of meaning inside. This is where the true return to self begins, not through a beautiful image, but through the ability to acknowledge that the past and present may not match. And that's okay. The hardest part of changes is not the changes themselves, but the moment when the old map of the world still lives inside you. You already feel that something does not match, but you continue to demand the same reactions, the same desires, the same speed from yourself. This is where the tension in your jaw, dryness in your mouth, and irritation at trivial things arise. Not because you are weak, but because the old version of you can no longer keep up with the new reality. Many believe that finding oneself means discovering one single correct answer and never changing it again. This is a convenient thought, but it is false. A person does not unfold like a document that needs to be filled out completely. They change depending on experiences, losses, fatigue, trust, even on how many times they had to hold themselves back for others' expectations. And if yesterday you needed one rhythm of life, and today another, it is not a character flaw. It is a signal that your internal system is already restructuring. This is where the trap often arises. We start calling variability inconsistency and try to fix ourselves with force. Some cling to a job that has long drained them empty because it's frightening to admit that the old pride no longer warms. Some hold on to the role of a nice person, even though after each agreement they feel a heaviness in their chest. Externally, this looks like loyalty to oneself, but internally, it is often just the fear of losing a familiar image. And the tighter you grip this image, the less life remains in it. It is more beneficial to look at yourself not as a statue, but as a setting. There are moments when you need silence and a narrow focus, and there are periods when it is wise to broaden your choice and try something new. The same person can be precise in the morning and distracted in the evening, bold in one topic and cautious in another. This does not make them worse. It shows that there are different states within, and they do not have to coincide with each other every minute. Imagine a manager who has believed for years that value is measured by the number of tasks completed by midnight. He truly knows how to work, but one day, he notices that after yet another frantic week, his hands are cold. His gaze is fixed on one point on the screen, and there is no joy at all. If he continues to convince himself that this is the normal form of strength, he will not become stronger. He will simply sink deeper into exhaustion. But if he sees that the old model no longer serves him, then there is a chance to change not the goal, but the way of living within that goal. The same happens in quieter situations. A person returns from a walk with the feeling that they are fine alone. But in the evening in a crowded apartment, they no longer understand why they are so drawn to people and simultaneously exhausted by them. There is no contradiction that needs to be urgently resolved. There is a contrast of experience that needs to be endured. Maturity begins not where you force yourself to be the same, but where you stop being afraid of the differences in your own states. If you look deeper, the quest for oneself is almost always associated with the loss of an old support. And this is unpleasant because the psyche longs for a simple conclusion that the right version of you should be one and forever. But life doesn't work that way. Today, something is important to you, and next year, something else. And sometimes change comes not after inspiration, but after fatigue. At the moment when the body has long been telling the truth through tightened shoulders and uneven breathing. It is then that a new perspective opens up. You do not need to seek an eternal form. You need to learn to distinguish what is truly alive now and what has already become a familiar shell. Then, changes stop being frightening and start showing where you have finally stopped betraying yourself. Set a timer for 60 seconds and name for yourself not what you want to be, but what currently does not align with the previous version of your life. Don't analyze for long, just catch one honest shift. For someone, it is a job that no longer makes sense. For someone else, the habit of agreeing for another. A constant feeling of internal tightness. Such a brief contact with the truth triggers movement because you stop arguing with yourself and start seeing where the old form no longer holds. Next, it is useful to compare the same day in two states. Without awareness, a person wakes up feeling heavy, automatically agrees to unnecessary things, drags along someone else's pace all day, and by evening realizes that they have once again lived a life that is not theirs. With attention to oneself, the same day looks different. You notice where your body tightens, where the response comes from fear rather than truth, and you do not try to restructure everything at once. You simply do not betray your feelings for the sake of habit. Sometimes, that is enough to stop the accumulation of internal noise. One of the most common mistakes here is that a person tries to solve the issue of finding themselves through a grand vision of the future. They want to immediately understand who they will become, and because of this, do not hear what no longer suits them. You can recognize yourself by two signs. You often feel irritation without a clear reason, and increasingly explain to yourself why you need to endure just a little longer. The way out begins with one honest decision in a real day. Do not pressure yourself with the scale. Just remove what clearly does not align with your state today. How to integrate this into chaos works even when there are people, tasks, and noise around. At work, in an elevator, or on the road between meetings, you can conduct an internal check unnoticed in 30 seconds. Shoulders drop. The jaw slightly relaxes. Attention briefly moves away from the external hustle and returns to the body. You do not make a ritual out of this. You simply notice where you feel tight, where it feels calm, and where it is time to stop ignoring the signal. At that moment, a slight warmth often appears in the chest, or conversely, you clearly feel the fatigue you have long been pushing away. And this brief recognition brings more benefit than lengthy reflections in the evening. When you act this way, finding yourself stops being a vague idea. It becomes a series of precise contacts with reality, where you do not create a new life for yourself, but gradually stop living against yourself. This entire topic is not about a beautiful version of change, but about honesty toward what has already changed within you. Sometimes a person suffers not because something is wrong with them, but because they demand too long to conform to their past image. But when you accept that different periods of life require different responses, the tension ceases to feel like a personal failure and becomes part of growing up. What is even more important is that the search for oneself does not happen in one clear moment. It is formed from small acknowledgments, from the willingness to see the contrast between what has already passed and what begins to resonate. There is no loud revelation in this, but there is reliability. You stop chasing a single correct version of yourself and start to notice where the truth already exists within and where only habit remains. That is why tomorrow morning, everything may start not with a big decision, but with a more precise attitude toward yourself. It is not necessary to change your entire life at once. It is enough not to betray that quiet signal that you already know how to recognize. When a person stops arguing with their changed reality, they gain not a perfect plan, but a foundation from which to move forward without self-deception. If this video was helpful to you, subscribe so you don't miss the next day.